Om Sahanā-Vavatu Sahanā Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Below Satguru Shivananda Maharaj Ki, and for all the saints and sages of all the traditions. Jai. Okay, what are the questions?
What is suffering? What is this suffering?
Bondage, suffering, yeah. And what about it?
How to discern.
So how to free myself from it? What is the cause of it? When did it begin? Like that, yeah. And what's the second part of the question? What's the second question? All right.
Where did it begin? How does it end?
No, what's the second question? That was related to suffering, yes. So I say yes. How does it end? Okay. And then, it's what we're dealing with today. So you can look at the chart and okay, I'm going to keep asking you this until you remember what the question is, both of you. What is the not Atman, or the not I, and what is the Atman, or the I, and how to differentiate between the two? Right? So, that's what we're dealing with here. In a way, it's not a question of being yourself. It's a question of knowing yourself. And then letting go of the identification with what is not yourself. Yeah? And that's what we're working with here. That's what we're working on. So, okay. So we'll read some and discuss. This particular part of the text takes us through waking, dreaming, and dreamless sleep, these three states, as a teacher in order for us to help us to discern, again, not just intellectually, not in a way that you forget it every time, right? But in a way that you integrate the knowledge and have a deep understanding of it. So we've been using the word understanding because invariably we can say, I get it. But then here we are in the world or in the field and something happens. And do we get it? Do we get it? Right? Do we get it in a way that we live it, that we embody it, that we don't forget it? And this is why, by the way, we keep coming back to these. This is why sadhana doesn't want to stop. This is why satsang wants to be every day. And this is why the four yogas, the four paths of yoga, karma yoga and such. So he'll take us through waking state, the dream state, and deep sleep state, or dreamless state. It says this physical body is composed of the five elements. So we say gross in this case, and that's here on the chart. The five gross elements are, you can read, but the most subtle.
Space.
Yeah. And then air, fire, water, earth. And one is said to come from the other. In other words, air arises from space, fire arises from air. Water owes its existence to fire, and earth owes its existence to water. It's interesting. We could take some time and we could catch it, but each arising and progression from the other. And of course, if we look at the elements, if we look at the chemistry of it, we can catch it, interestingly enough. So air, for example, is O2, and water is H2O. So you see the fundamental chemistry of it as well, which can be very interesting. So building blocks as they were, starting with no chemical composition, yeah, to fundamental chemical composition, and then earth, of course, is the most complex of them. But as we step up, everything's including the prior. Okay. But this body, this physical body, and this is the point being made, that what is the elemental construction of the body? You see it? All 5 of the elements. Okay. In various composition. Some of the physical bodies may have more water. Where's the fire? Where's the fire? In the physical body, where is the fire element?
It's on the digestion.
In the digestive system. So here, yeah. Fire? Yeah, okay. Oh. Okay. It is born through the karma of the previous life and is the vehicle of experience for the Atman. Do you experience the world through the physical body? Yeah? So there's just confusion about the I. That's all. But is it fair to say that I experience the world through this body? Yes?
Is it fair?
Yes? So it's the vehicle of experience for the Atman. When the objective universe is being perceived, this is known as the waking state of consciousness. In the waking state of consciousness, man finds his fullest activity in the body. In this state, he identifies himself with the body, although he is really separate from it. Through the external senses, he enjoys gross objects. The external senses are the 5 gross senses. Yeah? So, what are they? Okay, you can either read or do it from memory. I don't care. I'm asking for participation this morning. So wake the heck up and participate. Please. Oh, very good. Okay. So you're sure there aren't any more?
Not in this body.
not in this physical body. Do you remember the conversation yesterday about the animals? Mm-hmm. The other beings that have the full development of perhaps just one? Okay. So through these we enjoy, but who's enjoying? Is the body enjoying? Just to make the point.
No.
See if you can catch it. Just catch it, right? I'm enjoying, correct? Subject-object relationship is being established here, and this is fundamental, and it's really needed to catch it, and to catch it so deeply that we live it. And here's where, how do you practice Vedanta during the day? Okay, this is Vedanta practice. How do you practice Vedanta during the day? You stop for a moment, you look at what you're doing, and you reassert to yourself, I am in this body. I am participating in this. I am experiencing this object through the senses. And I am not it. I am not this body. So if you do that, does that help you to Remember it.
Shivoham.
Om. We say, and for those joining us online as well, what we do our best to do with these teachings is to help them to be practical. And practical, sometimes people will say to Swami, what's the right mix of spiritual life and worldly life? And Swami will say, the right mix is 100% spiritual life, but you have to understand what that means. But I have a practical life. I have responsibilities. Yes. And all of those are the field in which you conduct a spiritual life. Oh. Because the point is, Shivoham, I'm spirit. I am not this body. And as long as I take myself to be this body, then I suffer. The same is so for everyone. As long as I take myself to be this body. And as soon as I fully understand, experientially understand that I am not this body, that I am eternal, that I have never been born, that I never die, I do not suffer. I have no fear. I have no anger towards anyone. Yes, there are vasanas, there are tendencies that stick around in all of this, but fundamentally, as soon as we really get it, but we have to get it means living it. So I say, this is practical. Now, ending suffering is a real goal. You can't stop the asteroid from coming and crashing into the Earth. Although there was an experiment recently that I'm told was fairly successful, where NASA did just that. They fired a missile off with a big explosive at an asteroid, and they did knock it off course. So that could give you some artificial comfort that in fact the body's not going to decay and fall off. But it's just artificial comfort because it's only a matter of time, for God's sakes. It could be a nuclear bomb. Yeah, it could be. We're pretty crazy right now. It really could be. It could happen really soon. Are you supposed to freak out? No, you're supposed to remember who you are because you're eternal and none of this could affect you. Well, then why would I be good? You would be good because if you're bad, you will build so much junk up in the mind, which we discuss here, that you could never free yourself. And besides that, you have to be good because the only joy in this physical life is in service. And if you want to be happy in this physical life, then you have to live it for others or you have to live it for the highest. This is practical, right? We speak of happiness and where is happiness and how to be happy. Is it practical to be happy? So, now, the key is, practical also means to practice. And we'll say, well, I was doing fine until she said this, such and such. You want to fill in the blank? Until she said I was stupid. Until she said I was wrong. Until she said I was a hypocrite. I was doing fine until then. How could she? How could she have done that?
How dare she?
How dare she do that? How dare she vote for Trump? How dare she vote for Biden? Doesn't she get it? And someone will say, I was doing fine up until she voted for Biden.
Everything was good.
Everything was good. I was living the dream, Swami. I was just fine. Everything was good. As long as nobody disturbs me, I am just perfectly fine. It's all good. Who's not living this dream? So, how to end that nightmare? Well, you have to practice all the time. That's what's practical. That's what means practical. That's what's practical, is to practice happiness all the time, to practice unity all the time, to practice this comprehension and this understanding and this remembering all the time, to practice selflessness all the time, because then it becomes a habit instead of the habit of fear and anger and hatred and judgment and suffering. Suffering also is habit, right? Oh. So we sit here and do this in the morning not to disrupt your sleep. That's not the reason for it. Actually, Hari, it really is all about meditation. But the real meditation is when she votes for Biden, not to get upset. Or when she might be walking around with COVID, not to experience fear. That's meditation, is to stay with the one, awareness of the one, awareness of Shiva everywhere, no matter what happens. Beautiful quote from Yogananda. He says, the yogi must be still in the midst of crashing worlds. So this is a message from the sponsor. We stopped the program just for a moment for a message from the sponsor. And the message from the sponsor is Shivoham. Shivoham. And I'm going to do stuff to you while you're here to help you to remember. Shivoham. I'm going to give you some teachings, she says, Ma Durga. I'm going to give you some teachings. But you're going to have to strive and strive in order to understand them and then to remember. Because I'm going to give you so much stuff to help you to remember, meaning to help you to perfect your practice. And the practice has to be in all the time when I'm fine. Because when I'm not fine, well, if I practiced being fine, when I'm fine. In other words, if I practiced Vedanta, and this is really, live your life, fine, but do your best to be aware and take these moments to stop and look at what's happening. So I need that. Wait a second, what is that? That is the sense object. Why do I think I need it? Well, there's perception. I heard, I smelled, I smelled pizza. I need pizza. Wait a second. And who is the I here? Okay, we continue. The inherent characteristics of this gross body, perfect subject, we're right on it, are birth, decay, and death. You see, you don't need an atom bomb for the body to die. It will just do it by itself. On its own. It's only a question of when. Who was the scientist who took the quote of Lord Krishna from the Bhagavad Gita? Someone joining us online will remember his name. I can picture him. When he saw the first atom bomb in, I think, Alamogordo, New Mexico, back in the 1940s, 1942, 43, something like that, the first atom bomb explosion, he says, this is Lord Krishna from the Bhagavad Gita, I am time, the destroyer of all. And that was the sensation that he had when he watched that atom bomb explode before it was dropped on Nagasaki and Hiroshima. And so this is Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita saying, and this is when he's shown Arjuna the battlefield. And Arjuna is arguing about whether he's going to fight or not, meaning do his job or not. And Lord Krishna says, here, let me show you. And he gives him the direct vision of all of these beings, apparent beings on the battlefield, all lying dead. And he says, there, I've already done your work for you. I'm just talking about you being free, my dear. This whole teaching of the Bhagavad Gita, it's about you being free. It's not about some battle outside. Look, I already killed everyone. Everyone that you're saying, oh, I need to save this and I need to save that. It's already done, my dear, he says. I've done it. I am time. I've already killed every single one of them. Now you missed your chance. So stand up, do your duty. This is all he's saying. Stand up, do your duty. In other words, stand up. I'm giving you an opportunity to live in this world and to discover who you are and what you are. And so stand up, do your duty. Stand up, go through the day. Do the things that you're supposed to do during the day. People think spiritual life is not doing what we're supposed to do. That's the opposite of the truth. Do what we're supposed to do. But here, I'm also sharing teachings with you, and take these teachings and see it in action. See if what I'm sharing, see if it's true. And the more we learn, So the practice of Vedanta during the day is so practical. We had a group at our retreat in Michigan this year. There'll be still a no retreat. Brendan, I believe is his name. He's on fire. He's he's a devotee of Yogananda, and he attended the retreat, and we talked about the Vedanta and how to practice. And I said, would anyone like to share something? And he spoke up and he said exactly this. He said, when I walk and smell the roses, I think about what the rose is and who I am that is smelling it. And I think about the process that's happening. And I think about that beauty and how that's a divine quality and how that's present in everything and therefore universal and not limited to that object. You see how beautiful is that? And so this is really the thing, is how do we bring it into our daily lives? And that's what provides the openings too. You have them. Funny way, I'm not actually lecturing, I'm encouraging as we go through as well for everyone joining us. Encouraging. It's so practical. It's so practical. And my prayer really is that, and this will sound crazy and maybe mean in some way, oh my God, it's not intended this way, is that we only suffer as much as we absolutely have to. And therefore, just enough to motivate us. Okay, we'll continue. So the inherent characteristics of this gross body are birth, decay, and death. It's inevitable. Yeah? And then someone will hear, this is ego stuff. I'm not complaining about anyone. This is the way the ego is with us, this ego sense with us. The voice in the head that talks to us, that's never wrong itself, but is always blaming someone else for the suffering. It seems to never be wrong, the voice in the head, because it always has someone to blame, whether it's me or someone else. Yeah? And this is and it refuses to accept this birth, decay, death. It's so deeply identified with the body. So this is why we get reminded. Birth, decay, death. It has various conditions, such as fatness or thinness. Not I, right? The body does. In various stages of development, childhood and youth. controlled by caste rules, not just an India thing. It's controlled, the body is controlled by where we're born, who our parents are, right? The body is home. What's available to me, whether such and such doctor has been placed in my field, or what tools have been placed in my field, all of this. So this is the field in which the body, the physical body, is operating. And the rules of the four orders of life, the ashramas, from youth through old age. It's subject to various diseases and to different kinds of treatments, such as worship, dishonor, or honor. We were discussing this some over the last couple of days. It's subjected to, and in the world, it's the body that gets worshipped. Whenever we say Swami Shivananda, until we get it, we don't get it. We say Satguru Swami Shivananda. But that's speaking of not a face, not a big fat guy. That's only the body. But if you look at the way the mind processes things, it first goes there. It first forms the mental image. And the mental image is going to be the face, some picture we've seen of him, or something like that. And then some tendency. But first the samskara itself, the memory of having seen him somewhere, what someone said about him, or some impression of him. I mean, good or bad. The impression, he's a great saint. That's an impression, right? That'll arise. But for some, that fat guy in Rishikesh. No, honest to God. So, but the worship and such is really of the body, interestingly, right? Until we learn to go deeper. Its organs of perception, we said. And then exploration of the mental organ. The mental organ consists of mind, intellect, ego, and emotional nature. Also very helpful for us to get it more and more. Mind, intellect, ego, and emotional nature. So the bhava, the emotional nature, devotional or angry or whatever that is. But that's still part of the clothing that's being worn. So ego is the self-consciousness which arises when the mental organ identifies itself with the body. The tendency of the emotional nature is to draw us to that which is pleasing. The vital force is divided according to its 5 different functions. Breath is that function of the vital force which is used in respiration. Downward breath in excretion. Distributive breath governs the process of digestion and assimilation. Diffused breath is present throughout the body, resisting disintegration and holding it together in all of its parts. Interesting concept, what holds the body together. And that's said to be the 5th of the pranas, of the vital airs. But here, breath in the physical body, breath. And then ascending breath is used in eructation. Just as gold is known by different names when it's fashioned into various ornaments, just as water takes the form of waves, foam, etc., so the one vital force is given these 5 different names according to its 5 different functions. Now, we'll just, before we close this morning, we'll just talk about what all we have on the chart, and then tomorrow morning we'll continue to explore. Okay. So we say here 3 bodies, 5 sheets. And as we explore over the next couple of days, we'll be diving in detail into each of these. So 3 bodies: physical body, subtle body, in English, and causal body. Sometimes the subtle body is also called astral body, not uncommon. Sometimes energy body, which is not completely correct, but fine. So the three bodies, physical body being made of the gross elements, so gross food. The subtle body being made of the subtle elements. We'll explore a little tomorrow. Or subtle food. Here, a distinguishing factor. The physical food, the characteristics of the physical food form the physical body. Too much fat, for example, the body gets bigger, fatter in physical food. There are karmic reasons for it as well, but we can just say that. The subtle elements, meaning we could say the energetic qualities of the elements. So the subtle body is made of these. Explore more in the morning. And then the causal body is very mysterious, and we won't talk a lot about it right now. But we could just say that the causal body is the cause, as it were, for rebirth. And leave it mysterious in that way for now. So it's said that each of us are subject to three bodies. That little dot in the center of the chart is representing the eternal and infinite I. It's much bigger than the dot. So this is just a way of representing it. What we're dealing with the bodies conceptually is it's as if I'm wearing them. The real I. It's as if Shivoham, I'm wearing them. And I'm wearing the subtle body, most subtle, or causal rather, first, and then over that, I put the subtle body, and then over that, the physical body. Okay. And then the koshas, we introduced the concept yesterday. The koshas are said to be 5, and they correspond to the three bodies. The most external, the most gross, Annamaya kosha. Annamaya meaning food. So the food sheath. The sheath or covering made of food, the most gross, the outside. Which is literally so, right? The skin is the most gross, the outside. You lost a little skin. And that skin, what was it made of? Directly, you see it, right? Food. You see that. And so when it gets cut off and it ends up on the ground, the ants will come to it. I don't know if you see that, but yeah. Because it's their sustenance, as it were. And so it's food. It was food, it is food, it remains food. So that's the most gross covering is the food sheath. And then as we come into the subtle body, there's said to be 3 sheaths. The most, again, staying with the grossest, coming to the subtlest. Pranamaya kosha, which is the vital air, the life force. And then Manomaya kosha, which is the mind stuff. And Vinyamaya kosha, which is the intellect. Manomaya kosha, we could say, also including the emotional nature. So reactive or subconscious mind. Again, of course, we'll explore. Vinyamaya, the intellect, which is of the 3 koshas in the subtle body. And the subtle body is important. Subtle body is a big deal. Understanding of the subtle body is most important in this freedom, path of freedom. And then the causal body, the corresponding sheath, is Anandamaya kosha. Anandamaya meaning bliss sheath. And so, okay, so we continue. As always, we get up, we continue.
Continuation.
Yes. So, but the purpose of the continuing, we lived a life where the purpose was to eat or play or get this or become that. But here the purpose is freedom. One purpose. So why do I get up in the morning? Well, from here I would say to serve the cause of freedom. Or to serve the cause of peace, Shanti path. Okay, Hari?
So, let's see. Haras and happiness is knowing all experience is temporary through the body and mind, but I am not.
In a way.
And then Mela saying, Oppenheimer quoted, "Now I am death, the destroyer of work."
There we go, thank you.
When he witnessed the first.
There we go, thank you. Oppenheimer.
Yes.
I am that, the destroyer of worlds. I am that time, the destroyer of worlds. Yeah, there we go. Thank you. That was Oppenheimer. Okay. We knew someone would have it. Thank you. Beautiful. Jaima, what is Sangha? Okay. All right. Let's close final prayers in Arati, page 156. And Hara, yes, in a way, happiness is experienced. Happiness is experienced. We'll discuss tomorrow or the next day this correlation between Anandoham, I am that bliss, and the experience of bliss. They're not actually the same. That relates to that Anandamaya Kosha. So here's a teaser to keep everyone who's joining us interested. We'll be exploring either tomorrow morning or the next morning, here's our cliffhanger, the difference between I am bliss and I am experiencing bliss. And it's a fundamental difference, and it wants to be understood by the student. Because that means eventually we can drop the requirement that I have to experience it all the time. Which will get us stuck. Oh. Okay. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandim Pushti Vardhanam Orvai Rukameva Bandhanan Mritor Mokshiyama Mritata Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandim Pushti Vardhanam Orvai Rukameva Bandhanan Mritor Mokshiyama Mritata Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandim Pushti Vardhanam Orvai Rukameva Bandhanan Mritor Mokshiyama Mritata Om Sarvesham Swastir Bhavatu Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha Sarve Shantu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashanto Makashi Dukapak Bhave Asato Ma Satgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotir Gamaya Mritor Ma Mritam Gamaya Om Purnamida Purnamidam Purna Purnamudashate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. O adorable Lord of mercy and love, salutations and prostrations unto thee. Thou art omnipresent, omnipotent, and omniscient. Thou art Satchidananda. Thou art existence, knowledge, and bliss absolute. Thou art the indweller of all beings. Grant us an understanding heart, equal vision, balanced mind, faith, devotion, and wisdom. Grant us inner spiritual strength to resist temptation and to control the mind. Free us from egoism, lust, anger, greed, hatred, and jealousy. Fill our hearts with divine virtues. Let us behold thee in all these names and forms. Let us serve thee in all these names and forms. Let us ever remember thee. Let us ever sing thy glories. Let thy name be ever on our lips. Let us abide in thee forever and ever. On Bolo Satguru Shivananda Maharaj Ki Jai, for all the saints and sages of all the traditions.
Jai.
Jai. Okay, let's rise.